I want to talk to you about the 29th of November. Today is 70 years to the partition of the United Nations decision to establish two states in what was used to be called Palestine. One is a Jewish state, one would have been an Arab state had they not have rejected it. So I was thinking on my way to school where I teach English, a substitute for a teacher who's on maternity leave, to give them an article that speaks about how the United Nations vote went 70 years ago, because this is considered the single most important event in Jewish history since the exile of the Jews 2,000 years ago. After 2,000 years of living in exile and enduring horrific violence from almost every nation they had lived in, the Jews would finally have a land of their own, their ancient homeland. What could have been a more important event? And so I asked our technician, school's technician, a Russian technician, to come in, and I asked the kids, what do you think Russia voted? No reaction. I explained to them what United Nations means. I showed them the film, and I stood there and watched with them 10 minutes, of which they mostly played with their mobile phones, weren't even looking, when 7 years ago, almost every Jew on this planet was listening to the radio broadcast and praying that the vote would pass. They needed 2/3 majority. And I'm explaining all this, and I have this article in English in questions, and then this one boy says in Hebrew a very vile comment that it interests his ass. Of course, all he's interested is in the newest mobile phone, porn, and how to get out of doing things. And he's made countless racist comments, mostly because he knows it upsets me, and also because he just repeats whatever horrific education he's gotten somewhere. And then they blame the European Jews or whatever, these people that have very difficult conditions, and yet every child in the school has electrical bikes and all kinds of fancy schmancy phones, and then we're so underprivileged or whatever. But it's like, you come there and I speak English on a level that should be good enough for them. Yes, this is understatement of the year. The other teachers have never lived abroad. They finished some sort of a teacher seminar or some sort of a religious university, I don't know. And you try to give them something. You try to give them some sort of content beyond their little tiny world. And not only they do not even respect it enough to sit, they just completely look at you, and then they criticize my teaching, and nothing is ever good enough. Try to be creative, try to bring them interesting things to broaden their little tiny horizons. And they can talk to me in whatever way. If I, God forbid, say something, they immediately call the principal and complain. And every pupil is important, says the principal. But that's probably because there's a certain budget. And if he doesn't get to keep those pupils, he won't get it. The other reason might be that they think they're doing Israeli society a favor by keeping these kids off the streets. But I think it's worse to keep them in school where they refuse to learn, refuse to do anything, and they don't even have any sort of skills to study. They just don't have the capacity to learn anything. They don't want to learn. They just sit there and criticize and complain instead of maybe learning a trade or doing something. Maybe not everybody is good in school, Not everybody's good in academic studies. There's plenty of other fields. There's professional schools. But no, everybody has to have matriculation. Everybody has to have this stupid degree that says you finished high school and you did all those tests. Why? 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 I don't know. And I ask myself now as I walk, why I even bothered to try to convey to them the excitement, the importance of this day 7 years ago. They're not interested. And frankly, I've lost interest in trying to save the world. I want to save myself.